What's good, YouTube? It's Justice I Used to Be Pay, and today I'm back with another video. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about Ice Spice and her upcoming debut album, Y2K, and why this album will be very pivotal to the rest of her career and how it could really change everything for Ice Spice. But before I get into that, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe to all of those things. It helps me out a ton. Early in the year, Ice Spice announced that she would be dropping her debut album titled Y2K, and actually, as of the recording of this video, like today, she announced she was done with the recording for the album, which is kind of coincidental. I didn't line it up like that on purpose, but this album will change the perception of Ice Spice going into the future, because Ice Spice has been the hottest thing in rap for like the past year and a half. She's got all the clout, and she's been only in the mainstream for like a year and a half, going on to 2 years now, and she still doesn't have a album out yet. And that album just brings a different level of seriousness to a person's career, right? The singles are cool, the singles are one thing, but when you really drop that album, the serious levels rise to like a 10. So this will be very pivotal in seeing how the rest of Ice Spice's career plays out. Now, before I really say anything, I want to clarify that I actually like Ice Spice. Like, I would consider myself a fan of hers. I like her music. I know you see me as a rap YouTube page and you're thinking to yourself, okay, he's going to tell me how Ice Spice is trash and she has no talent and she's the reason rap is so bad and she's ruining rap. But I'm not here to do that. I actually like Ice Spice in the role that she plays. But that role that she plays, and she plays it really well, is what makes this album so interesting to me. Ice Spice is a singles artist. She makes music that's fun, that's cute, it's poppy, it's catchy, it's quotable, or as people on Twitter would say, she makes bops. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, not everybody has to have music with a whole bunch of substance and that goes really, really in depth and super creative artistically. That's fine. She can play that role of making kind of cute, fun music. But the problem with that is, historically at least, I can't speak for the future, but historically, those artists who kind of just make fun, poppy rap music struggle to put together quality albums. More times than not, the albums just really aren't that good. And also alongside of that, people just don't really tune into those types of artists' albums. For example, they're not one for one in terms of like comparing the two, but look at somebody like Coi Leray. Coi Leray has a lot of hits. She makes a lot of really fun, catchy pop music. Now, sometimes she does get a little bit more like artistically in depth with her singing and stuff like that. But for the most part, when she drops those hits, they're fun, they're catchy, they're bops, right? But people don't tune into Coi Leray albums. They just don't. Now, I think there is a difference between the two. They're not exactly one for one. Like I said, I would say that Ice Spice at the moment at least appears to have a real fan base, and Coi Leray never really had that. But still, people just don't really tune into those types of artists' albums. And for the most part, those types of artists aren't really known for producing great albums. And singles are the wave to like keep yourself in the headlines consistently, like keep your name relevant, keep your name hot. And Ice Spice does that really well. It's just a lot harder to get somebody to listen to a 16-song project that's, an hour long compared to one song that's maybe 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And I think that Ice Spice and her team did a very good job of like taking care of her career so far, because Ice Spice blew up as a very, very new artist. Like, she went straight from pretty much nothing to the mainstream eye. It's not like, before she blew up, she had 3 or 4 mixtapes, she had 160 songs, and she was really putting in work for 5 to 10 years. Like, no, Ice Spice just kind of blew up out of nowhere. When Ice Spice blew up with the song Munch, I think she had like less than 15 songs. Maybe she had like 7. Like, I'm not even trying to exaggerate. It was a very low number of songs. So Ice Spice blew up as a brand new artist, and they wanted to kind of pace her in terms of her development. You don't want to just throw your artist out there to the wolves, because she's still brand new. She doesn't really know how she wants to do things going into the future. She's still trying to put it all together. And so we've been watching her develop in front of our very eyes over the last 2 years, because the development difference from song 10 to song 30 is way different from song 100 to song 110. Like, those gaps in development are way different. So they've been trying to take their time, pace themselves, and just let Ice Spice develop slowly instead of just trying to cash grab. Okay, we're going to drop an album as soon as she's hot. Like, they've been trying to pace her. And that's why when Ice Spice dropped that mixtape a while back, it only had 6 songs on it, and only 2 of the songs were songs that we hadn't heard before. And alongside that, the mixtape was only announced like maybe a day before it came out. So even if the sales were kind of low, it was like, we're just kind of throwing this out there for the fans. Like, it was all just, kind of pacing this development and trying to build on Ice Spice one block at a time and not just jumping straight into the deep end with a full-length 20-song album when you're as hot as you can. It was all a building process with Ice Spice, and now we're at the development process point where it's time to drop the album. For me personally, I like to compare what they've been doing with Ice Spice's career so far kind of to like what you see in boxing, right? Because in pro boxing, guys don't just jump in straight into the deep end more times than not when they start their career. They don't just, go from 0-0 to fighting a guy who's contending for a world title. Most of the time, these young boxers get into the game and they're fighting cans. Cans being guys that just aren't that good if you're not really, too familiar with boxing terminology. They're fighting dudes that they know they can beat, but it's okay because they're just trying to get that development. They're trying to get that experience in the pro ranks. And that's kind of what Ice Spice has been doing, dropping these singles, all these singles every couple of months. Ice Spice has been beating up on cans in her world, except in her world that's dropping singles. And she's been building up. And like in boxing, right, you see these young prospects, they get put on these cards with these other stars to help build them up. And that's kind of like Ice Spice getting that feature with Nicki Minaj. That's kind of like if Ice Spice was, an upcoming boxer and she was fighting under the co-main of Tank Davis and then getting the song with Taylor Swift. That's another build up from a massive artist. That's like Ice Spice being a pro boxer and boxing under a Canelo card. Like these are all things that are kind of comparable in my mind. So I see Ice Spice's development as the development of a pro boxer. You don't just throw your pro boxer into the deep end. You want to build them up. You want to get fans to know their name. You want to get fans watching them, getting their eyes on them, and you want them to develop. When it's time to actually strike, then that's when you go all in. That's when you make your money. That's when you fight the world champ. But Ice Spice hasn't really been ready for that. But this album is her going in there and fighting for the world championship. This album is her actually taking on the other tough competition. This album for Ice Spice really kind of determines where her ceiling is to a certain extent, not completely, but like to a certain extent it does, because Ice Spice has potential to be a mainstream star for the next coming years. But for people like her who make music that's, pop rap-ish, kind of cute, a little unserious, not being able to put it together on a project can really change how people view them, because Ice Spice does have hits. She makes hits. That's what she does. But projects are a whole different animal. And I'm talking specifically about the perception of rap fans. Pop fans, that's a whole different thing. You can be successful in pop and not really have like the same respect that you need, or that you would want at least in rap. But I'm talking about rap fans' perspective and how rap fans view you. Because think of somebody like Flo Rida, think of somebody like Pitbull, right? Those guys are hit makers. They're some of the most commercially successful kind of rappers. I mean, Pitbull, I don't know if you would consider, Flo Rida is, but I don't know about Pitbull, but these are like the most commercially successful kind of rappers that we have in this like pop rap lane outside of Drake. But nobody really takes them serious in rap. We don't really take them serious as rappers. Even though a lot of us know all of their music, like we know all the big hits just because they've been played around us a lot. We might not have even gone and listened to any of their music personally, because I know I haven't, but I know a lot of Flo Rida songs. I know a lot of Pitbull songs just because they get played in public and stuff like that, but they don't have that respect in rap. No disrespect to those guys, but they just don't have that respect in rap from the rap fans. And that's kind of where Ice Spice could fall if her project doesn't really perform very well in terms of quality. Because again, no disrespect to Flo Rida and Pitbull. Like, I'm not trying to diss them, but I don't know a single album by them. I couldn't name you one Flo Rida, one Pitbull album. And I'm speaking strictly as a rap fan. Of course, they have a pop audience that's huge as well, and they're honestly a bigger part of their audience. But just in general in rap, they don't really get that respect because they've never really been like putting it together rapping wise on a project and making, a quality album. And so if Ice Spice doesn't do that with her project, she could kind of fall into a lane like that where she's making hits, she's got a pop audience, but rap fans don't really respect her, and they don't even like give her the light of day when it comes to like tuning into an album. Because people already kind of want to put Ice Spice in the box of like, oh yeah, she's cool, like she makes like little catchy music, but she's not that good, she's trash, she's not talented. Like they already kind of want to put her in that box already. So if this album doesn't really deliver in terms of quality, that perception will only grow, and she'll be kind of put into the Tyga box. And the Tyga box is a box where even though Tyga drops hits all the time, he has a hit like damn near every summer. He has a whole bunch of Billboard Hot 100 entries. Despite that, people still say he's trash, he sucks, and he can't make good music. Like he will have a hit every single year, but he's still trash to most people. And most people won't even give him the time of day on an album. Like nobody's listening to anything that he's dropping out album wise. People are playing the hits in the club and stuff like that, but nobody's tuning into tight albums, no disrespect. And Coi Leray kind of fits into that box as well, where, you know, she has hits all the time, but nobody's really checking for that album when it's album time. And if this album ends up being, you know, not very good in terms of quality, they're definitely going to try, they're being like the majority of rap fans, they're definitely going to try to put Ice Spice in that box as well and just kind of lock the key, or lock it shut and just throw away the key. Also, on the other side of things, I think what this album does commercially is very, very important as well. Now, I wouldn't say this for every single artist. I don't think the numbers are super important for every artist, but Ice Spice in particular, I think the numbers are very important in terms of like how many people are actually tuning in and listening to this album, because what Ice Spice kind of misses in substance, she makes up for in numbers, in virality, and in clout. So, you know, she might not always be super, you know, lyrically tight and all that stuff, but that kind of gets made up for with her clout and her virality. And Ice Spice was kind of made to be commercial, right? She makes really fun, catchy music, quotable music. She's very brand friendly. Her music, you know, it's very pop friendly. You know, it can be, you know, pretty much absorbed by any audience. It doesn't have to just strictly stay in that rap bubble. And also Ice Spice herself is very commercial friendly. She seems like a really nice person. She's kind of funny on Twitter. And obviously she has the look that, you know, we're not going to get into that, but like, you get what I'm saying. Like, she is made to be commercially successful, pretty much. So if that isn't there on this album, then Ice Spice kind of loses a lot of the aura that she has right now in the moment. Ice Spice is an artist that is made to be commercial. I don't mean like they made up Ice Spice, but like, you get what I'm saying. She's made to be commercial. When I'm looking at albums and I'm looking at like things to judge them off of, if I look at an artist like JID, I'm not going to look at JID and be like, all right, man, what are the numbers looking like? Like, they are important for him, but that's not something that I'm really going to judge the album off of. Obviously, and not like judging it in terms of quality, but just judging how successful it is. I'm not going to really look at JID's numbers and be like, man, he only sold 25K. Man, that's trash. Like, no, I'm not going to do that for an artist like him. But Ice Spice, on the other hand, is very much playing to commercial audiences. She's playing to these brands. Like, she is very much looking for those numbers and made to look for those numbers. So those numbers are a lot more important to somebody like her than they are Schoolboy Q or anybody else like that. The numbers will also show on this album how big Ice Spice really is, because that's a question I've been having myself recently a lot, because like, you see her, you know, do the song with Taylor Swift, the song with Nicki Minaj. She's also got hits on her own right, but like, you never really know how big someone is really until they go on tour, but more so until they go, you know, and drop an album for most people. Because like right now, do I think Ice Spice could headline a show in like an NBA arena and sell it out? Probably not. She could probably do smaller arenas like 5,000 to 7,000 probably, but you never really know. And I think the numbers will tell us how big that Ice Spice fan base really is, because, you know, there's a lot of people on Twitter who love her and social media and TikTok, but you never really know until you get to see those album numbers in front of you, or you get to see those ticket sales. So I think that this album will also be a little bit of a litmus test in terms of how popular she really is in terms of fan base, right? Because a lot of people are popular. Somebody like DaBaby. DaBaby is super popular. Everyone knows DaBaby, but you don't really know that many diehard DaBaby fans. You don't really know of DaBaby's fan base, and I want to see what that looks like for Ice Spice. So I really do think that this album will be a big moment in Ice Spice's career, obviously because it's her debut album, but I think it will tell us a lot about Ice Spice and where she's headed in the future. If she's really headed to be that megastar in rap, if she's really headed to be one of the biggest names in music, or is she just going to be like, you know, that one girl who makes like, you know, pretty cool, catchy music every now and then, but like nobody really takes her that serious. Like, her albums, like, you know, nobody really takes her that serious as an artist, but like, she's cool. What is the ceiling for Ice Spice? Because if she drops a really good album, as weirdly as, you know, Michael Jordan said it, the ceiling is the roof. Like, she's going to the moon. If this album is really good and it has a song that debuts in the top 5 of the Billboard Hot 100 and people are talking about it and it sells close to 100K first week, and there's actually like a all around respect for this project, even from like the diehard hip hop fans, which, I mean, of course people aren't going to look for lyricism on Ice Spice's project, and there's probably not going to be that great a lyricism, but if everyone can kind of come to a general like respect for the project, there's no limit on Ice Spice's potential. Literally, there's no limit on her potential, because she checks off every single box that you need to check off to be a mainstream star. But at the same time, if this project isn't very good, there will be a ceiling. There will be a ceiling there, and it'll be very hard to break that. She'll have to come through with some amazing stuff going into the future. So I think this album is really important. I think everyone else knows it's really important. I think Ice Spice herself and her team knows how important this album is. But that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this album doesn't really mean anything, and, you know, Ice Spice's career is going to be trash regardless, or it's going to be great regardless, whatever. But if you made it this far, I greatly appreciate it. Leave a comment down below, please. But thank you so much. Have a good day. Be safe. Be blessed. Peace.